It's raining outside, I am at the park, and I have a lot to yap about, so it is yap time. I feel like getting in the back, so I'm gonna do that. Yes, okay. Howdy folks, we're in the back of my car. My clean car that I cleaned in whatever we get. Literally, no, okay, it's better up here. I have my computer and I'm at it again with more things that I have lots of opinions about. So we're gonna read them today. Basically, today is a discussion about popular phrases that have kind of circled on social media and whether or not they're true or accurate to real life. I thought this would be an interesting video because I feel like I resonate with a lot of them, but I also feel like not all of them are perfectly accurate to specific types of situations. And I think it's important to highlight those too. The first one I have is the ones you love don't realize how unreachable you are to everyone else until they become everyone else. So like this applies to like when you have a friend that takes you for granted. I feel like this specifically resonates with me a lot because over the course of my life, I've had so many friends where this exact scenario applies to a T. Like I've had people, so many people grow apart from me and then realize that I took care of them, I was loyal to them, I was a good friend to them, and I never did anything wrong. And one day they just decided that they wanted other friends and that I wasn't good enough as their new friends. So, you know, they dropped me only to realize that I'm the truest one. I'm the one that was there from day one. And I was the one who would be there with you through thick and thin had you asked me to and had you wanted me to. Anyways, sorry about the rant. But yeah, like people who were supposed to be my friends ended up valuing me less and less over time. And then like when I had something to say about it, they lashed out at me. And once I had had enough and spoke up about it, friendships often disintegrated. And that, you know, that not only exposed the shallow nature of the relationship, but also the unstable foundation that it was built upon. Once those kinds of things happen, after a little time passes, you know, they realize just how much of my life they were able to be included in and to be involved in, and just how important and special they were to me for me to be able to let them in. And so to have that kind of trust like eventually taken away is like kind of, it hurts. So I feel like this saying is 100% accurate. Like people take you for granted until they don't have you anymore. Next one I have is hurt people hurt people. I believe in this statement, not in the way that it's commonly used though. I also feel like it goes like way deeper than that. Like there are a ton of cases in which hurting someone is completely justified. Like for example, if it's in a self-defense case and other like desperate situations, sometimes when you find yourself in dire straits, you gotta do what you can to get yourself out of there, whether or not society accepts what you're about to do. That doesn't mean you're hurt or have something inherently wrong with you. It just means you were put in a situation in which fiercer solutions were necessary to get yourself to a place where you're okay. In relationships and breakups, a lot of girls like to say this, and I don't like it. I think it's important to explore why. There's a concept called cognitive dissonance, in which, in an attempt to make yourself feel better, you kind of deflect blame onto another subject, whatever that subject may be, a person, a car, you know, a swing set. So when someone who's newly grieving a relationship says something like hurt people, it's a sign to look into their own faults in the relationship, because obviously nothing is one-sided with these types of things. I think what most people mean by this phrase is that people carry trauma. I think what most people mean by this phrase is that people with carried trauma from, you know, past relationships or even their childhood, when these people get into relationships, they tend to carry those patterns into the relationship, thus ending in a messy, you know, complicated and dramatic breakup. And while that's extremely true and extremely common, you know, it happens all the time, I also think that the previously aforementioned causes to such breakups are really big factors as well. And if you find yourself wanting to say this phrase, hurt people, it's time to look into what you could have done better to support your partner and ensure that the patterns weren't repeated, because that's not only on them as a participant in the relationship, it's also your part to work on them with that, identify the patterns, make them feel secure in the relationship, and ultimately stop the cycle from repeating. So hurt people it just excludes a lot of the different variations of situations that can happen, and I feel like that doesn't do the situations justice. So while I agree with it, I think that there's way more to it, which makes it less accurate to real life. The next one is you are who you hang out with. I don't like this one. Not one little tiny bit. Because ultimately it boxes you in. When you hear advice like that, people kind of take it to heart, and they start looking at the people that they hang out with and are like, oh, I should just drop all my friends because they're being irresponsible, which is not ever what you should be doing, at least in my opinion. Phrases like that kind of box you in, like you end up only hanging out with like one type of person, and you end up a very closed-minded individual who's not open to explore things. And that doesn't mean that you have to hang out with irresponsible people, or that you shouldn't tell your friends who are being irresponsible, hey, stop being irresponsible. But it does mean that you're like, as a friend, your responsibility is to help your friends kind of flourish, and that's their responsibility to help you too. And I think that if your friends are doing irresponsible things, don't judge them for it, but make it known that it is irresponsible, and do your best as a friend to provide support, but also push them to be better versions of themselves. And that doesn't mean just dropping them, Now, if people are bad to you, if people hurt you, if people do things that could hurt you, or that you don't want to be around, say, hey, I'm not going to be around this. Or say, hey, if this continues, we're done. But there are a lot of situations where dropping your friends because of some minor thing, that doesn't mean you're going to become that. And that doesn't mean that you should just exile yourself from all of that, because all of that is part of the real world. You have to be a well-versed human being who knows how to handle all types of situations. So I think that one is not accurate at all. The last one I have for today is never become a bandage to someone else's pain. Bandages get thrown away after the wound heals. That one, oh boy, trust. I know what that's like. It takes some complex words to fully exemplify what this quote means. You should always be there for everyone that you love. No matter if, they're doing unhealthy things, or, they're struggling in some type of way. It's important to, like I said before, push them forward, and also be there to support them in times of extreme uncertainty. There's a difference between being a very strong pillar in someone's life and helping them grow and helping them become a better person, and letting someone get so attached to you that they think you are the reason that they are better. And because that's when they start to form some kind of unhealthy dependence towards you, and that's, like I said, unhealthy. Once they start to feel better about themselves on their own, they're not going to need you anymore. They're going to be like, oh, well, maybe I needed you for this, but I don't need you for anything else. I don't need to hang out with you. I don't need to be there for you. I just needed you to be there for me. And that's it. That's the extent of it. Now our friendship's over. And that's happened to me a lot of times. that's actually all I have for today. So thank you for listening to my rant. It's like 90 degrees in my car right now, so I gotta vroom out of here. Thank you for listening. Today though is podcast day. It's really hot outside, so I have the sunroof open. So if the audio, I guess, is like really bad, sorry. There's also nobody around, so I could probably like go outside, but I feel like that would be worse for the audio. Anyways, do y'all like the Sesame Street drip? It was given to me by a very close friend of mine. Speaking of friends, that's what we're talking about today. Over the past year, I've begun to notice a pattern in which my best friends, the people who understood me the most and were there for me the most and were my closest people in my life, have started to not only drift away, but started to understand me less, and I started to understand them less. And it started to put me in a really bad mood so consistently, and I felt like I was questioning how or where I stand with these people so often that I needed to start distancing myself and not push them out, but learn to like my own alone time more if I was gonna have more of it. That's kind of what this whole thing is about, Project 77, is learning to be able to have fun on my own without needing some type of social interaction or some type of close friendship to I don't want to say entertain me, but to make me feel loved and to make me feel like life is worth living. You know, like that's something that I need to learn how to do on my own without any type of external factors. Because, like, at the end of the day, they did make me feel validated, but once that went away, I went into a depression, and I don't want to do that again. And I want to make sure that these last few years I have of high school, well, not even last few years, my last year of high school is going to be one to remember and one to remember fondly. I don't want to feel like I wasted time trying to get people to stay in my life or to like me. I want to have enough security on my own that I don't need to go and make friends. And in that way, making friends will happen naturally and they'll come to me rather than me having to attention seek and put myself out there more than I would like to. The other part of this whole thing is, after senior year, like, we're going to college, and my friends, you know, they all say, like, oh, like, we'll be friends forever, you know, but I can't help thinking realistically about everything. Like, me and my best friend are inevitably going to go to different colleges because we don't like the same places. Me and my other friends are going to go to the same college, or aren't going to go to the same college because we don't like the same places. And, you know, they all keep talking about how much they're so excited to meet new friends and have a friend group, and never once have they mentioned me being a part of their lives. Whereas when I talk about my future, it's like, and you're gonna do this with me, and you're gonna come over all the time, and I'm so excited to have this future with you. Nobody else is excited to have a future with me unless I bring it up first. You know, it's never a first thought of theirs that I might be a fixture in their years to come. So it's like, okay, you say that we're friends now, and then once the physical proximity is erased from the equation, there's nothing to hang on to. At least not for them to hang on to me. So I'm really anxious about that, as y'all can tell. But my phone's kind of about to die, so I will see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm here in my closet, and I have my gua sha. I think that's how you say it. and I don't have any like oil or anything like that, so we're just gonna do it dry, even though they say not to. But like I think the long side goes on the bottom, and you just go up and like jiggle it to like define that part. And then I'm told you go that way, like above your cheekbone, like that. This feels so ridiculous, but it kind of also feels good. Also, I got a pink one. I kind of like it.
Previously on the Summer I Turned Pretty.
Just for the record, I do not care what happens with the whole triangle situation. I just care what happens to the beach house. Pack with me for Puerto Rico. Also, can we get a minute for the spit?